Good afternoon. I will wait for a couple of minutes so people can connect to this event. I'm live right now. I will show you a demo of the EHRServer. So we are on time. We are just waiting for more people to connect, to be online watching this. If you have any questions in the middle of the session, you can ask by adding a comment on the Google Plus event page or just commenting directly on YouTube. So this is, I will share with you the event page on Google Plus. And if you're watching this through YouTube, you can just, on that page, you can just put your comments there. And I will receive all your comments and questions, and I will answer them. I will try to answer them in the middle of the session, or if it requires more time to develop an answer, I will just wait until the end of the session to provide you with a good answer. So we are just waiting. We will wait for a couple of minutes. Then I will share my screen with you. I will do a small introduction and do the demo. Also, this video will be available after the event. Will be available on my channel, my YouTube channel, so you can watch it later. You can share it. It is very helpful to me, to the project, if you can share this demo with people that might be interested. So that will help a lot. I will try to share my screen. Let's see. Let's see if you can. See my screen. 1 second. Here we are. Please let me know if you can see my screen correctly. I will be checking the comments. Please try to write any comment on the comment box to see if I received the comments correctly, so I can answer you later. Can you see my screen? Can you see? I'm just sharing my website. Please let me know if you can see it. I'm checking the YouTube page. It seems you're seeing my screen, so I will start with the demo and stop talking. So most of you already know me. You are on my networks. I work with you, or maybe we met on an event. So I will do a small introduction either way about me, what I do, what is the purpose of all of this, just in case you don't know me. My name is Pablo Pasos. I'm a computer engineer. I live in Uruguay. It's a small country between Argentina and Brazil in South America. And for the last 10 plus years, I've been working in the healthcare domain. So I work in e-health, mostly on EHR related projects, clinical related projects, not a lot of projects related to the administrative or financial part, but mostly for the clinical part, working directly with doctors and nurses. And that's what I like, really, the clinical part. And as I specialized in standards, so basically I am an architect. I design systems. I work with people to and companies to help them build systems, design systems, and with interoperability as a requirement. So I studied a lot of standards. I work with a lot of standards, so I give consultancy on that area and also training. We have a lot of courses. My company is CaboLabs, and through CaboLabs, I give consultancy services and training services. Right now, we have about 6 courses, between courses and workshops, and all these courses are in Spanish. But this year, I'm starting to translate those courses, so those will be available in English. The first course that will be given in English this year is the clinical database design and implementation with openEHR. openEHR is a specification, and if you are on a standard specification, and if you are on this event, you might know or you might heard about openEHR. So you know what I'm talking about, sort of. But this year I will give this course in English, and maybe another one, maybe the interoperability course that also contains HL7 and DICOM stuff. Is for it's very practical, so it's for people that implement these things, these communications using standards, and also includes openEHR. If you want to contact me, the CaboLabs page, if you go to the contact form, this is a good way to contact me. Also, you can find me on Twitter at @ppasos, so there, or my personal email is pablo.pasos@cabolabs.com. So you can find me there. If you have any questions afterwards, just drop me a line. So the idea of this session is to show you how the EHRServer works, what the EHRServer, I will do a small introduction about what the EHRServer is, actually, and the main features, and also the main changes from the last version. So the idea is to show you, if you know the tool, the latest improvements and changes, modifications, and features that were added since the last version. The current version is 0.9, and I already started to work to have a release maybe in a couple of months of the 1.0 version. So I'm very excited about that we reached that version. But the current version is production ready, so you have all the features that you need to make it work on your projects. But on which projects and how it works, etc., I will let you know. I will tell you that on this demonstration. So if you don't know the EHRServer, the EHRServer is an open source project. You can find it on GitHub. The source code is here, so you can download the source code, build it, install it, run it on your machine. There are guides. I have a guide on the CaboLabs page. If you go to the projects section, you have a guide there. This is an introduction. I have an old demo here. I will update this demo with this event. So a lot of information, a white paper here that allows you to have a quick overview of what the EHRServer is and how can you use it. And also you have the EHRServer guide. What I do is after I release a new version, I update the guide. So the guide is updated to the latest version right now. So you can check the guide if you have any questions or you want technical information. The guide, the openEHRServer guide, is what you need to read. So you can download it from here, read the guide. You can also see the latest releases here. You have here the latest release, that is the 0.99, and this version is what I will use to do the demonstration. The EHRServer is basically a backend system that allows you to store clinical information and query that clinical information using REST API. So basically, you put data in, you can pull data out, but in a smart way. So it's not just a database, it's a repository. So it has a database in the backend, but also has a service layer on top of that database. And it's really that service layer what makes this tool unique. The idea or how it works is that you can add any kind of clinical document structure to the EHRServer, and the EHRServer can grab that structure and without any change to the source code or the database schema, you can just put data that complies with that definition in the repository, and you can create queries to pull that data out in different ways. I will show you how to put data in and how to query data in different ways, so it's very flexible. But you don't need to add support for more data, for more documents, for more types of documents. You don't need to actually change the tool. So it is very useful for the cloud. And this year, I released a cloud service. It's called Cloud EHRServer. That is basically that. It is the EHRServer working in a cloud environment that allows you to put data in and query data out. So it works in a software as a service way, but it is open source. The tool is the same tool that you can download from GitHub. It's just that we manage the server that the EHRServer is running on. It's just that. Also, on the Cloud EHRServer page, you can find some guides that are more specific to task-oriented guides. So you can check these guides to do specific things using the EHRServer. So I will let you just check these guides, and if you have any questions, you can send me an email, or you can just contact me through the contact form on this website. And for this demo, what I will do is I will use the production server. We have a staging server that you can use for testing for free, but I will use the production server because it's faster and it's bigger. So what I will start doing is just a quick walk through the tool. So each section I will describe very briefly what you can do or what you can find on each section of the EHRServer. And I will do a more detailed demo to commit data and to query data from the EHRServer to the EHRServer. So it's that, put data in, pull data out. And after that, I will answer all your questions. So basically, what I will start with is I will log in. I have a user already, and you might ask why I need an organization, because the EHRServer is multi-tenant, so supports multiple clients that have their information isolated. So you can't access the data from other organizations. So that's the one of the main features of the EHRServer, and that is why the EHRServer is cloud ready. So working on the cloud, you can't create one server, one instance of the server per client. You need to work with a couple of instances, but support many clients on those servers. So that's the idea of having a username, password, but also an organization identifier here to log in. And from here, you can also change your language. Right now, the EHR server supports Spanish and English, and I am translating this to Portuguese with help from others because my Portuguese is not very good. And the first thing you can find on the EHR server after you log in is the dashboard. So basically, the dashboard shows you general information about the things you have on the EHR server. So basically, on this instance, we have 2 EHRs, we have 2 contributions. I will describe what a contribution is. An EHR is an electronic health record for a patient. A query is just that. It's a query I created for pulling data outside the EHR server. And templates are clinical document definitions following the openEHR standard. So that's I will go over the templates later. And below we have some organizations and information about the used memory for each organization. We just started with this production server, so we don't have much information here, much data. On the EHR section, you can see all the EHRs that are on the system, and you can create a new EHR, but the idea is that you create EHRs from the REST API. So you can create an EHR from the user interface that is for management. I should mention that this interface is not for end users. This is for managers. So you are managing the backend. So this is not an application for a doctor, really. It's an application for a system administrator or a clinical administrator or a hospital IT administrator or clinical information officer, stuff like that. Those roles are the users of the EHR server web console. This is called the web console or the web interface. But from here, you can create an EHR, but the idea is that client applications create the EHRs using the API. If I click on one EHR here, just clicking on the identifier of the EHR, I can see the information of the EHR, like the unique identifier, the identifier of the patient that this EHR belongs to, the organization that contains, that owns really the EHR, and some information for audit. Also, we have a chart here that shows the points in time where some documents were added to this EHR, and below that we can see all the documents added to this EHR. So I will show you how to add clinical documents to an EHR later. But what you can see here is all the audit information, really. When, who, what was committed. And also you can find identifiers that come from the openEHR specification of this clinical document. And also you can see the clinical documents that were committed in the XML form. That is the format that we use to commit data to the EHR server, or in a visual form that will just show you a formatted form of the XML. It's just a style sheet applied to the XML. And we have here just dummy data because we don't have real clinical data here yet. So this is just one of my tests. But you can see here on the headers that is a real clinical document structure. You have encounter, you have reason for encounter, you have a section for vital signs, blood pressure, heartbeat, heart rate, respiratory rate, all that kind of stuff, physical examination, diagnosis, etc. So it's just that the structure is real, but the data is not real. It's just for testing. So you have all the information here. On the contributions section, Remember, if you have any questions, you can just leave a message on YouTube or the Google Plus event page. Here on the contributions section, you can see the contribution. What is a contribution? A contribution is the change set for an EHR. So basically, every time you send information to an EHR, let's say a clinical document or a set of clinical documents, is contained by a contribution. So this is really a log of all the changes any user have done to an EHR. If I click on one of these, this is the complete log. You can see the identifier of the contribution, the identifier of the EHR, where the change was made. You can see the date. You can see who made the change. You can see also all the documents contained in that contribution. So you can here is just one, but you can have many documents on the same contribution. And it's the same. You can see the same information here as the screen I showed you before, and you can see the XML format or just the let's say the user-friendly format of the XML. So it's just the same information. On the versions section, you can find all the clinical documents contained in the EHRServer for your organization. So this is filtered by the organizations that I have access to. And the idea, and this comes from openEHR, is that each clinical document can be versioned. So you can create a clinical document, but if the clinical document is committed to the EHR and afterwards you realize that that clinical document is incomplete or has an error, an amendment or a modification of the clinical document can be made. But what happens in healthcare, clinical documents can't be changed, really, can't be modified. So the idea is a client application should commit a new version of the same clinical document with the correction or the amendment or the modification. So what is on the openEHR specification is that you can store all the modifications and amendments for one specific clinical document. So you have all the history of that clinical document with all the changes and amendments, and are all in the database, and none of the data committed before is deleted or really modified. So the idea of this page is that here you can see all the clinical documents in your organization, and you can see all the versions of that clinical document. Here I just have one initial version, but if I made a change and I commit a clinical document with the same ID, what the EHRServer will do is create a new version and mark that version as the latest version of this clinical document. So, and from here you can see version 1, version 2, version 3. And all the queries will be executed only over the latest version of a clinical document. But why do we store and do we show all the history? Because you can do you can audit the database, and you can see all the changes, and you can see why the changes were made and from who and for which patients, etc., etc., etc. And you can check if a change was made by mistake, maybe, and you can fix those situations. But you have all the information to check for those situations, so you can do a complete audit because you have all the information. Directory is not so used feature that I want to improve for the next version. What directory does is helps you to organize the internal structure of an EHR by defining folders And on those folders, you can put clinical documents, or you can put other folders. So you can define a structure of virtual folders and associate clinical documents to those folders. The idea is when you have that, you can query for folders, and you can have specific documents organized in a specific way. Maybe that is helpful for some medical specialties. Yeah, but it's not so used and not so developed right now. But it's supported by the openEHR specifications, and we have a minimal support for that in the EHRServer. But stay tuned on this feature, because it will be improved in the future. And if you have any feedback that you can provide for this feature that in which we can improve how it works on the EHRServer, just let me know, and I will consider that. And for providing feature and for reporting issues, you can use the GitHub site. You can use the project site. You just create a new issue and add a description there. An issue can be a bug you find on the tool, or just an improvement request. Yes, I'm very open. The project is very open, and I'm very open to receive feature requests, fixes, improvements, etc. So please do that. Next, and I think this is the biggest and most complex and most useful feature of the EHRServer, is the queries. From here, and I will show you later, this is just a quick walk through all the sections, and I will come later to this section to create some queries and show you how they are created and executed. The idea is you can create queries on the fly and allow client applications to use those queries from the REST API. So you can create queries to get data out, or you can create queries to get full documents out the EHRServer. And those can be in JSON or XML formats. So you can use that information and show that information to your users on your application, create charts, create table views for different, maybe laboratory test results. So you can do that with the data. And you will also get the data always in the same format. Following, this will follow, of course, the openEHR information model. So I will show you that later. This is a lot of information. I will show you how that works. And the templates are really the core of the system and are the link between the system and the openEHR specifications. A template is basically, very basic, a clinical document definition. So it's basically, it's like an XML schema, but comes from the openEHR specifications. I will send you some links later, so you can read more about templates, about the openEHR specifications, about archetypes. So basically, have this in mind: are clinical document definitions that are can be processed by a software tool, are in an XML format. So I will show you one in a minute. And what is the content of a template? The content of a template is structure. So basically, it defines the structure of your clinical document, all the data types that will be used on the clinical document, and also has constraints. So you can have data constraints on the template. What is that for? You can have validation, data validation using those constraints. You can create user interfaces based on those on that structure defined in the template. You can create queries. We use these templates to create queries, and I will show you later how a query is created. And this is the form. I will and one small comment is that this is a feature and improvement we added on this version, on the 0.9, is that because templates are language dependent, what we did is show you the templates that you can access using your current language. Remember, on the login page, you can change your language, and the language I selected is English. So I have all the templates that are in English first here, and this will be the templates I can use for creating queries. But also I have another template that is in Spanish here. And to use this template on a query, I need to log out, select Spanish, and log in again. Yeah. Why is this? Because all of the terms associated with the internal structure of a template will be in English or will be in Spanish. So it is really language dependent. And what I have here are production templates. I created these templates based on some existing templates, and some others were created from scratch using openEHR archetypes. And openEHR archetypes are the basic structure of the templates. So if you go to ckm.openehr.org, you can find and download archetypes, and using a tool that is called the template designer, you can just merge a lot of archetypes in one structure and export a template. And the template is loaded later in the EHR server to help us process data and create queries. So this is the basic the basic concepts behind the templates. So, for example, if you go here to observation, you can see a lot of stuff here that is part of a clinical record, really. So you have here alcohol use, you have blood pressure here. So blood pressure is something that everybody knows. So you can open that, you can check the structure to see if it contains all the data you need for your record. And I need, let's say, systolic, diastolic, and maybe I need the position of the patient at the moment of the measure. So I have all the data I need. So you just download the template, the archetype, sorry. You can download in XML or ADL, is the archetype definition language. So I prefer archetype definition language. You download that and you can start creating your template based on a set of archetypes. This demo won't be about how a template is created. Maybe I create another demo on that and how to use the tools. But let's say I done all this process and I created some templates, sorry, for the production server. And I will create at least 10 or 15 more. So when you use the production server, you have some clinical document structures already defined, so you don't need to bother about creating your own. And if you need to create some specific ones, I can help you with that. So for now, we have an encounter. This is just a consultation, a generic consultation and an encounter with a clinician. Vaccination record this is just when a nurse gives you a shot. It's just records what type of vaccine was and some general information about that event, and a lab order here. And we have another encounter that is the same structure as this one, but in Spanish. So that's the good thing about openEHR archetypes that are translated to a lot of languages. So you can define your templates on using different languages, and you can have the same structure but a different language. So that is very useful. So the internal structure of the template is this. So we have here some general information about the template, and the internal structure is this. So here, blah, 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 you can find maybe, you can find this is the structure for the record of the reason for encounter. So you can have that the reason for encounter is a text. It's a free text that you can put in there, and all the rest of the structure are really just constraints. Let's say if I find a meaningful constraint here you can find you can see that we have a quantity data type, and the units are constrained to this is millimeters of mercury. So this is the constraint for blood pressure, for I think is systolic blood pressure. So you have here the units, you have here an interval constraint for the magnitude of the measure. So this is really useful to check if your data is correct. So this is the internal structure of a template. So, but it's not the idea of this demonstration to show you what a template is, how it's created, etc. We can go back on, or maybe we can do another demo on that area. One thing also that I added for on the latest version is that you can, when you upload a template, the template is also associated with an organization. So let's say that we have 2 clients on the cloud EHR server. So in the cloud version in this production server, and one client wants to upload a template for their, I don't know, their clinic or their hospital, or maybe is a software company and wants to upload a template for a client of them. They can do that. And the idea is that you have the rights over that template because you created that template, that document definition, and it will be only available for your company, for your organization. That has to do also with multi-tenancy. But you can also create a template and share it with other organizations. So since I am an administrator, I can share the one template uploaded by one organization to a different organization, or when a template is uploaded, I can mark it as public. If it's marked as public, it will be available for all the organizations that are using the EHR server. And all of these production templates are public because I uploaded them and I am allowing any customer to use them. So that's a nice feature, I think, because it allows me to create and share templates easily. And if you are a company, let's say a software company, and you have 2 different clients that are hospitals or clinics, you can upload a template for one of your customers. And if you realize that that will be useful for the other customer, you can share that template with that customer also. So that is very useful. So after the templates, we have user management, pretty standard, area, and also role management. We have really 3 main roles on the EHR server. The admin is the role that I'm running. I'm logged in as an admin right now. Then you have an organization manager. When you are a customer on the cloud EHR server, your role will be organization manager, and you will be associated with 1 or more organizations, and you will be the manager on those organizations. And users are just people that has access to the REST API. They don't have access to the web console. They can't manage the EHR server. They just can, list EHRs or commit data or create a query. So those are just users of the EHR server. Then we have organizations. I have 3 organizations here. I can create more organizations and associate users with organizations. And here you can see the information about an organization. We have some usage stats by month. Here is like a small dashboard for the organization, so you know the number of transactions that you have executed for that organization. You have the number of clinical documents that were committed to EHRs associated with that organization, and the amount of, let's say, disk or memory that you are using from your quota, let's say. Right now, I am not, or the EHR server is not checking the quota. Like, it's not like blocking you from using the EHR server when you hit the quota. It's just a guide. Maybe later we will add a more strong check on that part. And a new feature we added, and it's a very useful feature, is that you can have API keys here, and you can create your API keys. Why is that? Consider that you need to use the REST API. So the normal use will be that you have a user registered on the EHR server, so that user will be managed in the EHR server, and they will use the username, password, and organization ID to log in using the API. Okay, but what happens if you have another system where you manage the users, and you don't want to manage your users on the EHR server? So basically what you do is you create an API key, and you use that API key to on your applications, and your users logged into your applications, and you manage their credentials on your applications. But when you want to connect to the EHR server, you use this API key that you created. So that's the idea when you have, like, let's say, a mobile application, and you need to read data from the EHR server to show maybe charts, vital sign charts, to your medical users. You don't need to have all the users registered in the EHR server. You just use the API key, and you do the authentication in your application in the way you like. That's the idea, and that is very useful, and that works really well on the cloud environment, because you can have your backend in the cloud, and you don't need to manage the users there, and you have your own system to manage the users, and also mobile applications that will authenticate using your authentication server, and get data using the API key from the EHR server. And the users don't really know that that information is coming from the EHR server. So you can do that. So it's a very flexible possibility that you have. So if you have any questions about this, are welcome. And another and the latest, I think, change from the previous version is the notifications. You can create. This is useful for communicating. For communication between users of the EHR server. So basically what you can do here is you can define a notification that can be dismissed. So let's say I want to send a notification to all the users from organization CaboLabs, is the organization that I'm using right now, to the users with role, a specific role or specific users. So I select all the users that have role admin. I have role admin. In which language? So let's say they are using English. So I can write here demo notification. It's just a name for managing. And hello from the live demo. So this will appear to all the users that from the organization CaboLabs. I will just leave. This is a specific user, not the role. Sorry, I will leave this blank. That are using this language, and we'll see this this message. So when I create this is what you can see. So this is useful to send notifications to other users, like when you add a new feature. When we add a new feature, I will use this to notify you of the new feature. If you are working with other organization managers, maybe you want to send messages to them, and this is a good way to attract their attention. And if I dismiss this, this won't appear later. And I can see this notification here. Yeah, and you can see the status of that notification per user. So which users dismissed that notification. So it's not a huge feature, but it's useful. One thing that I didn't comment because it's not on the menu is that we removed the people section from the menu. The previous version had people. This is really for demographic information, and we removed that. So right now, you don't have any kind of demographic information in the EHR server. So all the information is anonymous. That is a big, I think, is useful. Is a big advance also for privacy, because if the information in the EHR server is in some way compromised, you don't know to which person each clinical data belongs to. That is one thing. And also having anonymous clinical information allows you to access the information without any concerns about privacy, and allows to make secondary uses of the clinical information. You can use that information for training, for getting statistics, for I don't know, defining politics, because if you have a lot of information and you can associate that information without compromising personal information, you don't have clinical information associated with identifiers, real identifiers of real people, you can do really anything with that information without compromising, without violating any privacy rules. So that was the idea. I thought a lot about removing that part because it was really useful and simple to use. Just create a patient, create an EHR, associate that EHR to that patient, but they had the identifier, the real ID card of that person there, and I have the name of that person and the date of birth of that person and the gender of that person here. So after thinking about that, I decided to remove that from the server. And I think adds a lot of possibilities to the EHR server, really, without adding any constraint. And you can have your own demographic server with that information in that server, and just associate your patient identifiers with the EHR identifiers in the EHR server. If you have that association yourself, then you can show to your clients, to your customers, to the clinicians, to the nurses, the clinical information and the demographic information, the name of the patient, the gender, the age, etc. So I think you win a lot of things and you don't lose anything with that change. So what I will do, I will take maybe 10 minutes to do a small data commit and querying. And so for that, I will open a virtual machine where I have an environment installed with a tool I created. I will show that tool here. If you go to my GitHub account, you will see a project that is called EHR committer. What I use this tool for is to just generate UI, fake UIs with real clinical document structures, fill in just random data, and commit that data to the EHR server. So what I will do is execute that tool. I had that in a virtual machine here. I will share with you the virtual machine screen. I will run the software, and that will help me to send data to the EHR server. Let me change my screen. So for now, you just for the demo, we have here on the contributions just 2 contributions. So you will be you will see more contributions when I commit data. So for now, we have 2 contributions here, and I will share my screen. Let me see if you can see that. Let me know if you can see that. And I have the EHR committer here. I will run this in the production mode, and the production mode will be connected with the EHR production server, EHR server production server. So right now it's running. This is a Grails application. Is the same framework that I used to create the EHR server, really. So while this starts, I will just take a look at your comments. On the questions here on the YouTube page, you asked if public for the templates, when a template is public, that is publicly available. The template is publicly available, but can be only changed by the owner. We have the link to who updated that on the first term. So only the company, the organization that uploaded that template can update it, really. I don't know if that answers your questions. Perfect. Yeah, changed by the owner. So I have this here running, and I thought about that a lot also. Who might be able to to change, to update templates? So because that will be required. So here I will log in using the same credentials I have on the EHR server. So basically, the EHR committer will use my user on the EHR server. If I remember my password. Yoo-hoo. I'm logged in. So basically what this did is use the EHR server login service to log in. So I was authenticated. And here I have some sample template structures that I use to put data in. So if I click on, if you see these 4, you have simple encounter. One is in English, one is in Spanish. I didn't put which language was each one. I should put that. Lab order and vaccination record. If you see, these 4 are the ones used in the production server. So I will try to check if this one is the one in English. I think yes. What this does is this generates a very simple form using all the data points in the template and allowing me to put data in. Some of the data, because the type of the field is known, the EHR committer just generates some random data. But here I can just change the value. So you will see a lot of random garbage there, but the structure is correct, not the data. And I can select an EHR. I should select an EHR to commit this data to. What I can select here are all the EHRs associated with my organization, the organization I use to log in. So right now I have just one EHR, and this comes from the EHR server using the REST API. So I will select that. Then I will, if you see these values come from the template. So this is the size of the cuff for measuring the blood pressure, the location, right arm. All these values come from the template. Auscultation, systolic blood pressure a little high, systolic also a little high, but I will change that. But this is not real data. I'm just changing this to show you how this works. And you can download this, run it, so you can test it locally. So you can send information to the EHR server locally using this structure. And to generate this structure that allows the EHR committer to generate the form, I have another project. So it's a command line tool that allows you to generate this. So you have the full process using the tools I defined. So what it does is generates an XML with the data I put in and send that to the EHR server. So it did the commit of that information to the EHR server. And here in the background was all the XML creation, etc. And this says that the document was committed to that EHR correctly. So if I go back, I will do the same thing a couple of times just to send more data. Let's see, this is very slow. This is on a virtual machine with very low memory. Sorry. I will send another document. So we will have 4 contributions to the EHR server if this works. While this is loading, I will just change the screen and go back to the EHR server. Give me 1 second. So now we are back to the EHR server. The EHR committer is thinking, so I will just reload this and work with that version that was committed. So now you see 3 contributions. So the latest one was this one is from today. This is the UTC time. So I'm -3, so it's 4:56:58 right now, really. But this was the contribution created from the EHR committer. And here you can see all the information about the commit, the date, the time, the type of document was an encounter. And you can see the XML here that was generated by the EHR committer, and also the data that was committed. And if you see the data, I changed the systolic and the diastolic explicitly to show you that you will see that data here. But all the rest of the information is just garbage. So basically, that is the way of sending information to the EHR server. You log in, so you have an authentication token, or you can use an API key that I showed you before. Then you generate, or your application generates a valid XML clinical document that complies with the template. If you want to know how that is created, you can check the code of the EHR committer, or you can use this tool that I mentioned, is the openEHR OPT. OPT is for operational templates. It's the template that we use in the EHR server. And I created a guide on how to use this. If you go to the cloud EHR server, sorry that I'm jumping through windows. If you come later to the video, you can just stop and follow the steps. You can see the latest guide here, that the data commit guide. will show you how to use the openEHR OPT and also how to use the EHR committer. So basically, you use this tool, the openEHR OPT, to generate instances of clinical documents in XML that are compliant with templates, with the templates that we use on the EHR server. And you can send those instances, you can commit those instances to the EHR server. So now we have a new instance, a new data document instance in the EHR server. And what we want to do is to create a query and to see how this all query works. So I have a couple of queries already created, but I will create a couple of queries from scratch to show you how the interface works. So basically, the first thing you need is a name for the query. I will query for just vital signs. So this is for the live demo. So vital signs. I want to get just data. So the type of query will be data value. And here, this is similar to the templates. I can create these queries in a private way, just accessible for my organization, or I can share the queries with other organizations or even make them public. So I can, as an admin, I can create some basic queries to help customers to jump in and use them, and later they can create their own private queries with more specific data. So what I do here is select the clinical concept. So I want vital signs. I know respiration is a vital sign. And what I want from here is the rate. So I select the concept, then the data point, and I click on Add Projection. Also, the same will be for body weight. I want the weight. Then the height also. Let's see here where height is here. I want the pulse here. The blood pressure, I want systolic, perfect. But I also want the diastolic. Let's see where that is here. All this information comes from the templates, really. This information about the concepts and this information about the data points. Let's say if we have, I don't think we have more vital signs here. So the next step is define the output format. I want this in JSON and the grouping of the information. If I select none, it will be just, the result will be just a set of each data point without any kind of grouping. If I group by composition, it will group blood pressure, weight, height, temperature, etc. by clinical document. So if a clinical document contains those data points, it will be grouped by document. But if you group by path, it will group all the systolic blood pressures together, all the diastolic blood pressures together in another group. And that is a very useful structure to chart, because the charting is done directly. I will show you that in a minute. So JSON group by path, all the data points I select. This is like writing a SQL query that says select this attribute, this attribute, this attribute, this attribute, blah, 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 from etc. And I can test this query even before creating that query. And I can test this query live with live data using the web interface. So what I want to do is select one EHR. So I will select this EHR. I can add filters like a date range, and I can execute this. And the result, you will see the result is in JSON. It is grouped. You have data points here, and it is grouped by path. So this path represents the, I think this is the respiratory rate. This is the name in English and Spanish. So we have both names. This is the type of data that you get. And this are the attributes of this data type, magnitude and units. And you have also a timestamp associated with each data point. So it's very easy just to chart, this, and this, associate this with some dates, and that's it. The dates can be your x axis, and the magnitude can be your y axis, and it's very easy. And you have the rest of the data here. You have weight. This is the translation. In Spanish is peso. In English is weight. And you can see here that the archetype didn't contain the Spanish translation for the rate. That is frecuencia in Spanish. Blah, blah, blah. You have here. Why do you have the names here and translated to certain languages? Because you can use the names if you want to chart this data. You can use the names as labels, and the EHRServer does that for you. So this is just showing you how the data looks, so you can check if your query was correctly defined. This data is nonsense. This data is just garbage, but you get the idea. And here we use the labels below, and the values of the magnitudes are here, and that's it. So the EHRServer, what it does is just detects if any of the information that is contained on the result is numeric, and if it's numeric, it tries to chart it. So on this case, all the information was numeric because we are talking about vital signs, and most of vital signs have a number associated with it, a measure associated with it. And I can create it. So when I create it, so let's say this is okay, I can check the query structure here. This is the definition of the query, really. And later on, what I will do is I will let you export this structure. So if you have two different EHR servers, you can create a query on one EHR server and then export your query and import that to another instance of the EHR server. So you don't have to do the same work twice. So that's one idea. And the other thing is we can share that query publicly or with specific organizations. So that's a useful thing. And using the unique identifier of this query, you can execute this query using the REST API. So that is the value of this. You can get the same data that I showed you before from the REST API just by executing the query with this identifier. And you will get the JSON structure that I showed you before. So it's very useful. And I didn't change one line of code, or I didn't wrote one line of SQL to create this query. And you can virtually create any query. And now I will show you how to create more complex queries that have clinical documents as a result. I will go back to the questions. One question is, how do you manage the burden of data entry on the physician as required by the template? That is managed in external applications that should consider usability on their designs. This is not something that is a concern of the EHRServer. The EHRServer is a backend server, a backend application. What you should use is when you create an application for a clinical user, you should think about how their workflow really, and how they will fill the data in. So that is something for the customers of the EHRServer, not for the EHRServer itself. But either way, what I do through CaboLabs is I give consultancy on these kinds of projects. So I help people to build, let's say, user-friendly systems, also to design user interfaces, to analyze user workflows, and to make the workflows suit how they really work. So to make them friendly in a way that they feel comfortable to use the tool. But that doesn't have anything to do with the EHR server, because after you do that process and you get all the data, that is just put in an XML and sent to the EHR server. And that's it. And that is where we take on. Another question, what is the timestamp? The timestamp is the creation date of the composition that contains the data point. Does that make sense? Because the composition is a clinical document and you have all the data in a clinical document. So what the time that gives context to the data point is the composition time. Perfect. And I will create another query. So this will be a document query for live demo, and we will finish with this one. So this is the title, and the type is composition, because composition in openEHR is clinical document. Also, I can make this public. But the difference between the previously created query and this one is, on this one we can create complex criteria for the query to get documents out. So what I will do is just create maybe a dummy or a very simple condition, but imagine that you can combine these conditions with other conditions to make more complex conditions. So I will start by selecting the concept. Let's say right now is diagnosis. And let's say I want the documents that contain diagnosis, diagnostic certainty. So I select diagnostic certainty. And here we have the criteria builder. So what I can do is, because the diagnostic certainty is a text with a code, is a code text that is a data type in openEHR, in the openEHR information model, I can define a condition for the text value or for the code of that data point. So what I can do is I want all the documents that have diagnosis, the concept diagnosis, and its diagnostic certainty is suspected or probable or confirmed. And these values that I'm showing here are taken from the template, are defined in the template. So this is a very smart way of querying, because you have also the help of the tool itself. These values, you don't have to type these values down. The tool is providing you with the values. Yes. So on this condition is equals this or this or this. But I can say in list, so I can select suspected. I just tapped, I tapped on enter, and probable. So what I'm doing right now is defining a condition that says, hey, the code associated with the diagnostic certainty should be suspected or probable. Give me all the documents with this condition. Is that clear? It's not so difficult, but it's something I think very powerful. And I added that criteria, so don't pay attention to this. And you can see here is the criteria. Code is in list, and these codes are contained in the template. Yeah, I can define more codes. I can define more criteria. Sorry. So let's say I want also that contains then the diagnosis with diagnosis certainty, suspected or probable, but I want also that the documents that contain a blood pressure where the systolic blood pressure is greater than 140 millimeters of mercury. Yeah, so I can create different conditions. I can combine those conditions, and the result will be all the documents that comply with both conditions. And with this, I can create rules based on this query. Because let's say that if I have this diagnostic certainty mixed with this high blood pressure value, let's say I have a risk. So I can define something that processes the results of this query, and maybe if I have 5 of these documents with this condition, the specific condition, I can throw an alert to a physician. So I can say, hey, your patient is at risk of XYZ. So this is just a dummy example. It's not clinical relevant, but I'm trying to show you the possibilities. So I'm here. I can. I have other options. I can show you the clinical documents as an output. The clinical documents in a visual format. We don't use that a lot. I can select an OR as the connector for the criteria logic. What it does is it checks for the documents that complies with this condition or this condition. And if I add more condition, it's or each one of those conditions. If I add and, it should comply with all the conditions in the list. And the output format can be JSON or XML. And I can test this. I don't know if this will return any results. So I will just give it a try, execute. So one result here. And here you can see this is not the clinical document because it has a few data points. It is an index of the clinical document. It has the unique identifier of the clinical document. It has the start time of the clinical document. It has the subject ID. This is the patient internal identifier. This is not demographic relevant. This can be auto-generated. The EHR UID of the EHR that this clinical document belongs to. The type, this is the name of the template. So you can see here the type of document that contained the data that we use for the query. But if I select retrieve data, yes, boom. This is the full clinical document in JSON format. So you can, if you grab this, you can further process the result. You can have a middleware getting data from the EHRServer, executing queries, and checking other conditions over the data retrieved by the EHRServer. So this query can help to return clinical documents, to show the documents, can help you to define rules over the results of these queries, but also as an initial filter for further processing of the data. So if you are analyzing data, if you are making some analytics or calculating indicators, this can help you to just constrain the number of documents that you need to process, maybe. If you are doing an ETL process, you are migrating data, or you are feeding a data warehouse, this might help you also. So this has clinical usage and also some administrative usage. So I think this is very useful and very powerful. I think a lot of improvements can be done to the user interface itself to help you create queries more easily, but I think it is already very easy to create queries and very powerful in the results you can get, and in the criteria and conditions you can define. It really lets you do a lot of things with the current user interface that can be improved. I know that, and if you have any recommendations, suggestions, comments, it's all very welcome. And I will create this, and after I create this query will be available for you to use from the REST API, getting the results in the format I showed you a minute ago. I will go back to the questions, and for now that's it. I have a couple of recommendations for you to just follow with further information and links that you can read more information about this and get a more technical insight of the EHR server. This was just an overview of the usage and the user interface. It is right that you have related to the times associated, the timestamps associated with the data you get from the data value queries. It is right that there are more times in the EHR openEHR information model, but the simpler is to contextualize the data by the composition start time and end time. I think we can add options to grab one timestamp or the other timestamp to the query. It might make the query a little more complicated to create, but I think that can be done if we are getting observation information out. We can, add an optional selector there that says, hey, use the timestamp of the history event as the timestamp on the results instead of the composition start timestamp. I think that can be done. Right now, I don't think that will add much value for the current users. We have a lot of users on the research area and some software factories that are starting to use the EHR server. I think for them, it wasn't. It was useful to have a timestamp there, and it wasn't a problem that wasn't more specific to the observation or to the action, really. So it worked. It worked. It's not perfect. I know the timestamp to have always the timestamp of the composition. I think it will work on most cases, but on some specific, very specific cases, it might be more correct or more useful to have the specific entry or event time there. So I agree. Some of the vital signs may come from integrated devices. That's correct. Yeah, that is another thing to mention. I didn't explicitly mention that, but yes, we think of data coming from a user interface or from an application with a user interface, but we also have devices that grab, let's say you have sensors connected to devices that grab data, and you can, from that data, create compositions and send those compositions to the EHR server. Yeah, so we have really input from end user applications with user interface and devices. Also, maybe wearable devices. If you want to create a physical activity application for your mobile phone and you have a wearable that measures your your steps, calories, and I don't know, your body temperature and heart rate. Maybe the phone has an application that grabs all the information, and the application in the phone can also commit that data to the EHR server. So you don't have any human input there. So both cases of data input are use cases for the EHR server. Yes, that's correct. So that's it for my side. Sorry it took too long. I think that it was important that I gave some time for certain aspects of the EHR server. But that's it. I'm done, and And I have these links here. I will share those on the screen, so you can come back to the video and check them out. So we have the staging server. If you don't want to download the application and install it in your machine, you can just test it on the staging server. The staging server take into account that is small and it's not so fast, and sometimes it goes down randomly, so but you have it for free, so you can go here, create an account, log in, and that's it. For now, you can't create an account on the production server. For the production server, you need to become a beta partner. So for now, what I'm doing is, since we launched in January the cloud service, what we have is I'm on a beta stage right now, and calling for people that is interested on using the EHR server, but also on supporting its development and supporting the infrastructure for now. So what I'm doing is I'm talking with companies and people that want to support the service, want to support the product, and make it grow, make it more useful for them also. They are becoming beta partners. So what it does is they pay a fee that is like a medium-sized plan for a year or for 6 months, and with that I pay for the infrastructure. The goal is to have the infrastructure covered for a couple of years, so we don't need to worry about doing a lot of marketing and selling, etc. I'm not a sales guy. I'm a technician, so I do these things. I don't like to sell, but when you release a product or a service, you need to sell it in some way. So the beta partners are helping for doing that. It's not a lot of money. It's almost nothing, and the idea is to get 20 beta partners to sign on for the first year. That will help us on having the backend, and maybe scale the backend a little bit to have bigger servers, and maybe a backup server also, and monitoring server for 2 years without investing a lot of money, and also to have to pay for development hours, so we can have improvements to the tool, and also we hear suggestions of what we can improve, and your contribution help the tool to improve, the service to improve. And also we are planning to release more services related to the EHR server. So the EHR server is just the base of a platform. I wrote a paper a couple of years ago about that has all the components there. As I told you, we removed the demographic information from the EHR server. So one thing that we will do is create a demographic server also, and you can use both the demographic server and the EHR server as a backend for your application. But we also have other services and projects related to the EHR service. But right now we are focusing on the EHR server to help it launch, to help it be successful, to make it usable for a lot of people, a lot of companies. And then if this succeeds and we get some funding, we will expand the service to create more services related to the EHR server. So this is an invitation also. Check this page, check what do you receive for being a beta partner, besides you helping us to move the service and have the service online for a couple of years. The idea is also that you get training on these things that I mentioned or I overview. So the idea is you become an expert on the EHR server. You can create your own EHR server instances and have those work for you and for your customers. So this is what you really get as thank you. You know, it's really, you become a beta partner to get knowledge, really. You know, and later, if you use, of course, the EHR server for your projects, you know, it's the best for the service, and hopefully for you and your project. And the tagline, I wrote this. It was like a joke, but I think this is very, very clear. The idea of this is that you start your project and you don't need to bother about creating your own backend. So the idea is you have half of your project already built using this tool. But also, I'm not a very good salesman. I'm an engineer. I think as an engineer. So if I can do less with and get the same result, I don't know. This is powerful. So check the guide, check the beta partner program page on what you get and what you can do for the how you can collaborate, and check the guides, the specific guides for the EHR server on the ehrserver.com /learn. There you have a lot of nice tutorials, and if you want to suggest a new tutorial, just let me know and I will write it. I'm putting maybe one tutorial per week or each 2 weeks, trying to cover all the areas, on the important areas on the EHR server management and how it is used. So just let me know. Ian asked about the demographic server. Yeah, that is the idea, is that it will be also based on openEHR. It will, I have the design. It's just that I didn't implement it yet. It will use the openEHR demographic model and be based on, you know, archetypes and templates, all the same thing. And also consider some stuff from HL7 version 3 and some of that stuff. But this is on paper right now. This is not, I don't have any software that really implements that. But I'm focused on the EHR server right now. What I want to do is, if I get this running, if this is sustainable in time, I can focus on other things. So that's the idea. But right now I'm focused on the EHR server. So let's help us have this off the ground, have this server, the service work in the cloud, get more people watch this, you know, make some noise, share this. I don't know, any help you can give us, it will be of great value for us, for me. And I've been working on this project for the last 4 years and a half. And I wrote, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I wrote a small article about this. The idea of this tool was just to test some ideas I had in my mind while studying and working with openEHR related projects, and while making my courses. So let's see where my posts are here. But it started as a proof of concept, really. And it grew, it improved. I started to use the EHR server on my courses. So my students started to use it. Some of them continued to use it after the course. And this helped to test and improve the EHR server. And I have also, because it is an open source project, contributions from the community. Some people added a feature or fixed a bug on GitHub. I had a lot of help, a lot of interest on the project, but this is like a one-man band. So I did this myself, from the design from scratch to the service that is right now, that is on the cloud. And I'm just checking is if this kind of service might be useful for some people. So I really need your help. That is the bottom line. And here you can find this small article about that journey from the start when I did the first proof of concept. Today I have the service running on the cloud, where anyone can sign and use it, really. In the way I show you. I mean, the use of the EHR server, this demo was about that. So that is what you need to know. So thank you for being there. Thanks a lot. I know it's very late on some places right now. But if you have any questions, I will be here for a couple of minutes. Just put them on questions or comments on the YouTube page. If you don't have any questions or comments, just let me know afterwards if this demo was useful, if the tool you see that the tool is something that is of interest. Anything, any feedback will help me to know if I am on the right direction, really. And of course, share it with people that might be interested on this kind of tool or product or service. Yeah, so a big thank you for being there. I will be here. And of course, just contact me, send me an email or a message on Twitter, etc. Directly. I check. I answer all the emails I receive. So, and I check all the Twitter messages daily. So please do that. For the Spanish speakers, this demo will be done next week. I think it will be the same day and same time in Spanish. So if you want to watch it again, but in your language. Very welcome. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Laura, Isidro, John. Thanks a lot for all your messages, your questions, Roger. Thanks a lot. So I'm going offline also. You know how to contact me. So big thank you for all of you. Bye-bye.